Hi everybody, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today we're at Red River Chevrolet to take a look at this Iridescent Pearl 2022 Chevrolet Silverado High Country. This is going to be the 6.2 liter V8. Tell me down in the comments section later on after you watch the video, of course, or if you want to pause and do it now, what engine do you prefer in these trucks? A lot of people want the 6.2 for the power. A lot of people want the 5.3 for the better gas mileage. So let's talk a little bit about exactly what this truck is. You're going to find multiple engine combinations available with obviously multiple towing and payload capabilities depending on what you want. You'll also find a revised front end, a lot of interior space, especially in the back seat. There's more interior space for the rear seat passengers than just about any other full-size truck that I've seen. Ultimately, what is new for 2022? Let's just go ahead and run through that and I'll tell you what that is. For 2022, there is refreshed exterior styling. There's a new front fascia. You will also find redesigned features such as the 13.4 inch touchscreen on LT trim levels and above. Now we don't have that here, but it is an option. There is a new off-road version of the Silverado that's going to be the 1500 ZR2, and there is the Super Cruise feature that is now available. Something that I haven't seen on any other GM vehicles over the years except for the Cadillacs. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have Super Cruise. I wish it did, but oh well. LED headlights are going to be found here. In fact, every light on this vehicle, basically headlights, daytime running lights, and tail lights, all going to be LED. And of course, you can see with all the sensors here, multiple safety features. Of course, you've got teen driver mode built in here that you can activate when you want to, valet mode, the parking sensors, all that good stuff, and multiple views of the camera that we'll take a look at shortly. Tire size and rim size here, 275/50s with the 22 inch, that's an upgraded wheel right there, 22 inch, and of course you're going to have that High Country logo right here. So obviously you're going to have that setting things apart. Don't know how well you can see it even though they're on, kind of bright out here today, but you do have the turn signal indicators built into those mirrors. And while we're at it, let me dig into my pocket here. We're trying to move fast today because it's freezing out here. There is the remote. And something else here. With the remote, of course, you've got remote start and you have the ability to open the tailgate automatically. 12 tie-down points in this bed. But here's something that's interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button twice. Notice all I did was hit the button twice. All right. Something that I find interesting, not only here with the remote, but also with the interior button that allows you to open and close this power tailgate. If I hit it twice and hold it down, watch what happens. You have to actually hold it down because I let go of the button. See how I let go of the button right there? The only way that's going to go back up all the way is you have to hit it twice, and on the second punch, you have to hold it down. Otherwise, the tailgate doesn't close all the way. It's going to be the exact same way with the interior button as well. Just something to know about. Tell Chevrolet down in the comments if you'd like to see that change. And here under the hood, well, depending on what your desires are, a lot of people say they want this 6.2 liter V8, 420 horsepower, 460 foot-pounds of torque, mated to that 10-speed automatic transmission. Why do people debate whether they want the 6.2 or the 5.3 or one of the other smaller engine options? Gas mileage numbers. Here's what you get with the 4 or the 6.2. 14 miles per gallon city, 19 on the highway, a combined total of 16. And according to Chevrolet, for every 100 miles you drive, you should go through 6.2 gallons of gas. Imagine that, 6.2 with the 6.2. And real quick, before we talk about cargo and towing and all that kind of stuff, one of the ways that Chevrolet helps to have as good a gas mileage numbers as this truck does, depending on what you think about that, is with an air curtain right here. Kind of an interesting design, the way that whole thing goes right there, but I'll let Carrie come in and give you a good close view of that. Air is going to be passing through the fender right here. So that's going to reduce drag and obviously have a good chance to improve gas mileage compared to what it would be without that. I don't know how much, but obviously it makes somewhat of a difference. Now I know I already showed you the way you can open this bed with the remote, and like I said, there's also the button in the cab. You also have the button right here. So let's talk a little bit about towing and payload as we take a look at the fact, well, you've got the bed liner already here, so that's good. 12 tie down points. According to Chevrolet, with this configuration, you're looking at max towing of 9,200 pounds and a little under 3,000, about 2,800 pounds roughly for your payload. Not too terribly bad, depending on what your situation is and what you want to do. Of course, as you already saw, Carrie showed you, you've got that High Country logo really all over the truck, including stamped into the bed here with the bed liner. A very nice feature there. People are going to know that you're driving around in the High Country truck. So let's go ahead and hop into the rear seat area here. I want to move as fast as I can because it's chilly out here today. So we're going to take a look at the interior. It's a jet black interior, but you can see also those accents with the brown right here. Very large door bins there. And something that's very interesting here, let's see if I can do this without getting in the way too much. You've got a little bit of extra storage space here on the rear of the seats on both sides. Whatever you can fit in there is, well, what goes there. And of course, you can also raise the seats up to gain access to, I'll get out of Carrie's way here, to gain access to a little bit of additional storage underneath there. You also have all the tools for changing a tire. We're gonna change sides here. And then of course, you've got your connectivity here with the USBs, with the 12-volt power outlet right there, and your dual air conditioning vents. And one thing that's very interesting here is that passengers will not go thirsty. You have cup holders right here on the rear of the console. You have cup holders right here in the fold down armrest. In fact, you could even put a cup or a large bottle here inside of the door bin. And while we're here, one more thing, it's just gonna be a lot easier to see from this angle. We've got the sunroof, the power sliding sunroof right here for the front seat. Not a panoramic, at least not yet. Maybe we'll see that sometime in the future. Okay guys, as we step into the front seat, I'm gonna take a look at the seats here first. I'm gonna let Carrie show you that because you have that High Country logo in one more place. It's gonna be right up here on the headrest, stitched in there. Like I said, people are going to know that you're driving around in a High Country. The upper and the lower glove boxes here, very easy to access, by the way. I like the fact all you have to do is just basically release that and you're set. And so I'm gonna have Carrie go ahead and hop here into the interior. Might be a little challenging hopping in here, but he's getting really good at this stuff. I really appreciate Carrie helping us out with the videography here on the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel. So I'm gonna kind of get out of his way a little bit, let you show the dashboard here, let you see that. Really no changes for 2022, but you can see what's there. Of course, you've got the analog and a digital speedometer, the tachometer. Over here, of course, is going to be the speed limit, but since we're not out on the road, that's not there, and pretty easy to figure out. The steering wheel mounted controls here, of course, gonna have adaptive cruise control, all the typical features and functionality you would expect to have there, including voice commands, all that good stuff. You can control the radio functionality and different things here as well. On the back of the steering wheel, it can be kind of hard to show both of those from this angle, but you can see some of the controls right there also on the left-hand side. Now, one thing that has been interesting with some of the updated GM vehicles, a lot of people, let me take my sunglasses and get them out of the way there, is that you have a push-button shifter right here on the Suburbans and the Tahoes. But here you've got kind of the traditional, kind of maybe old school in this day and age, the column shifter. Tell me down in the comments what your preference is. And I talked a little bit about the rear view camera. Now you can go into reverse to access the camera, but I'm gonna put the truck back into park here real fast and hit home right there. You don't have to be in reverse to access the cameras. I really like that. Of course, you got your overhead view right here. That's going to be very helpful in a lot of situations. But let's just run through and look at some of our available views. I'll tell you what, if you hit something with this truck, you just weren't paying attention, because you cannot miss anything on these trucks. I really like the way this is set up. We'll go back here. Of course, you're going to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, all those typical things. And something that's changed in the last couple of years that you used to not have here is the fact that now you don't have to have a USB cable to pair your phone. Right down here, of course, we've got the controls for the radio and even some functionality on the touch screen there. Pretty simple to figure out, pretty easy to use. Your dual zone climate control that you can sync if you want to. That's so easy to figure out. And then some of the other features and functionality right here that we were looking at earlier. There's even a button here. We're not going to do it right now because the label is on one of the windows here and I don't want that to come off, but there actually is a button right here that allows you to lower all of the windows at one time. I'll have Carrie kind of zoom in on that or kind of pan in on that just a little bit so you can see that. It's going to be right there, as you can see. So maybe your truck does or doesn't have that. And then of course you've got push button start right here. All you have to do is have the remote with you and you're ready to go on that. And then your connectivity here, and quite a bit. USB ports right there, depending on what you need. You've got two different options, of course, the 12-volt power outlet and the household power outlet also there. And then, of course, down here, we're going to find wireless charging. So I'm going to put my phone in right there just so you can see that come on. Hey, look at that, the future of Vehicle Visionary with my new dragster that's coming out. In case you didn't know, you can even see Vehicle Visionary there on the side. It just came up, so I had to say something about it. But wireless charging right there. And of course, more cup holders here. A lot of space here. Something interesting though, if maybe you have more than one phone that needs to be charged, or you just want to use a different place, that's not the only place you can have a wireless charger. There's actually an aftermarket version that can be wired in right here. I've seen that on a couple of trucks that we've done in the past that belong to friends. And really the multitasking lid for the console right here, not only for an armrest for the driver and the passenger, but there is so much space in there. I almost wonder if I said hello in there if I'd get an echo back. It's a huge console and more connectivity right here. Got the USBs there, quite a bit of options here. I'm gonna tell you what, that is a nice deep console. But one thing I would like to do, of course, is hop out on the road and see how this truck drives and handles. So let's do that right now. All right, we're gonna hop out on the road here for our test drive. And I tell you what, the one thing I noticed about these 6.2 liter V8s is you better keep an eye on your speedometer, because if you're in an area where the speed limit is strictly enforced, which it is here in Bossier City where we're filming today, well, it doesn't take much to get up to a higher speed than you think you're going. Of course, that's one of the things about driving a truck. The higher you are off the ground, the less sensation you have of speed compared to when you're real low to the ground. So a couple of things I want to make sure I mention here that I don't think I talked about earlier in the video. You do have a very nice heads-up display. You can configure that a couple of different ways, go through a couple of different settings to see different things depending on what you want. And it's a little hard to get a good shot of that, so hopefully I was able to do that justice with the picture I took today. And then of course you have the heated and ventilated seats. So let's take advantage of the horsepower since I don't like being in someone's blind spot. All right, there we go. We got around them with absolutely no problem. I'll tell you what, this 6.2 liter Carrie's impressed in the passenger seat there. You weren't expecting that.
No, that was pretty quick.
So, one thing I have to say here, I really like the fact that over the years, even though with these trucks, you know, it's still a truck, it's still gonna have a little bit of that truck ride quality, but it's nothing like it used to be many years ago. These trucks ride so much better now than they used to. The seats are good and comfortable. You got a good comfortable leather wrapped steering wheel here, and it's easy to see out of. You know, these trucks, you just have a hard time finding anything, even an extended cab today, let alone a regular cab. So pretty much everything you get, unless you special order, as far as I know, you're going to wind up with the 4-door, the crew cab type, the super crew, depending on the manufacturer, on what they call that. But you're going to have this 4-door style truck, but they're still not difficult to see out of. Of course, you're going to have features such as blind spot monitoring and all that good stuff. But, you know, we made it for a long time without all of those things, right, Carrie? We we know how to do that. At least some of us do. I know there's some people that are young enough to, or maybe you haven't done that, but for those of us that have, you know, I still find myself, it's funny, we showed all the different angles of the camera, the backup camera and just the cameras in general all over the vehicle. I still am having to remember to even look at that when I'm backing up. I'm still turning around and looking in my side view mirrors and everything, which is a good thing to do. But anyway, what is my overall impression of driving this Silverado? Well, like I said earlier, it rides well, it drives well. It sure isn't hard to park. All you have to do, you know, you will want to look at the camera if you're in a really tight spot and look at those multiple views. But trucks have come such a long way from what they used to be. You know, back when a truck was, maybe some people will say was a truck, when it was just used for hauling things. It was a true pickup truck. Now you have some of these trucks that come so far, they're really more luxurious. I call them sometimes luxury trucks. I don't know that I would say this one necessarily fits into that category, but it has a lot of luxurious features, a lot of great functionality. Everything's very easy to use. I'd still like to have maybe a month with maybe a vehicle as a demo or something like that, where I could maybe pull a trailer and just drive it every day and see how it really handles as a daily driver. It's one thing to do these test drives here on YouTube. We only get a few minutes with this. Honestly, I can only give you so much feedback. I really encourage people, if you're planning on buying one of these, just go to the dealership and drive one, because my feedback might be different than what you experience, and a lot of that comes from what you're used to driving, what your expectations are. So just things to think about. But we still wanted to give you a good test drive with this Silverado. But I tell you what, I guarantee you, if I was driving around in this one for a while, I would not be achieving the MPG numbers that Chevrolet gives, because, well, it'd be easy to keep my foot on the pedal, because this truck definitely gets down the road with absolutely no problem. So tell me down in the comments, if you plan to buy one of these 22 Silverados, which trim level do you plan to buy? Always interested to hear about that. Tell me what trim level, what colors, exterior, interior, and what engine do you want under the hood. Gotta say a special thanks to my friends here at Red River Chevrolet for loaning us this truck for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, check out another of the videos that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.